Good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday. That's More Good News Wednesday. There is no more hump day. It is More Good News Wednesday. You got more good news coming all day long. Middle of the week, start of the week, end of the week, whatever you consider Wednesday. It's More Good News Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. We're going to answer some questions, have some extraordinary guests, and learn something, right? We're going to do our best, learn something, and have fun today. Justin Pugh, my lighting, yes, I had figured out one of my light bulbs went out on that side of my face yesterday. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining me. Cheyenne, Riley, good morning. Great to see you. Hugh, thank you so much for joining. Colleen, More Good News Wednesday. Cheyenne, thank you. Oh, questions are coming in. Let's get started. You know, you can reach me if you want the 5 daily practices or my book, ebook, audiobook, or my signed copy of my book. It's david@dmeltzer.com. Gigi, tell them where it's at. Go ahead. Gigi's an amazing mentee of mine and friend. She is my favorite 2 letters of the alphabet, Gigi. Anyway, there it is, pinned below. Join my text community, 949-298-2905. Or email me, david@dmeltzer.com, if you want my 5 daily practices or my book. I'll send it, pay for it, and sign it, and pay for shipping. How do you define happiness? Happiness for me is the enjoyment of, so the mindset, the heart set, and the practice of, the enjoyment of, the consistent everyday, persistent without quit, pursuit of my potential, my truth. And that truth is the reconciliation between the truth and humankind, human nature, the ego, the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious that exists at this vibration. Just get a little deep on that one. Very good. How can I attract investors? Well, the way you attract investors is to figure out how to stimulate interest and ask for help in person, on the phone, via email and media, traditional and digital. We need to be credible in our ask. We need to figure out how do we emotionally attach with the people that we're asking, finding what they like and they don't like about our deal and other things within the space or career or industry that we're working. We need to be able in practice to articulate, whether it's via a deck, an executive summary, a business plan, or a call, or a live demonstration. We need to effectuate being able to articulate the quantitative value to be greater than what we're asking for and give them the appropriate reasons supported by the features and benefits, capabilities, skills, knowledge, and desire of what we're doing. Supported by that, the capabilities of the reasons why that value is greater than what we're asking for. We also have to do the same thing for the impact it's going to have, which also tie to the emotional aspect. And then finally, utilizing those feature benefits, skills, knowledge, and desire to align with, synergistic with, aligned with, supplementary to the capabilities that we have. When can we see you and Gary V have a discussion on business and then do's and don'ts when starting up? Gary and I did that in Syracuse together about a month ago at the No Bull Conference. We will be doing it again. We might do it in the fall at another one. Gary V is also live. Can you join him now? Ask him if he can join me. He has many more followers than I do. And so his way that he's going is more conducive. So go ahead, reach out. Tell him I'm happy to come over. Ask him if he wants to go live with me. Noble Khan, here we go. Let me answer some questions. Love me some Gary V, my boy. All right. How can I build self-confidence, especially socially in business? Clarity, balance, and focus will build confidence. Clarity comes from the 5 daily practices, which I've offered to everyone. Knowing your what, knowing your who, knowing your how, knowing your now, and knowing your why. Building that confidence comes from that clarity of those that are aligned with your values. For me, it's gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. And then I practice every day, consistently, persistently, pursuing my what, my how, my who, my how, my now, and my why. And socially in business, asking in person, on the phone, via email and social media, using the 5 daily practices related to and relying upon the values that you have practiced yourself, like gratitude, which will give you perspective and the ability to find the light, the love, and the lessons. Forgiveness, which will bring certainty and peace to yourself. Accountability, which will teach you the lessons by allowing yourself not to live in liability, blame, shame, and justification, but to learn from what you've done by asking yourself, what did I do to attract this to myself, utilizing the law of gravity, the law of Goya, and the law of attraction. I am successful. I just need mentorship. Can I take you to lunch? I have free training. I have group. I have one-on-one. Email me, and Soho Brown, and we will figure this out. Perfect. David@dmeltzer.com. All right, it's 8:05. I have my friend Matt. Matt Bailey is here. Let's bring Matt Bailey on. GameOn.app. Hashtag mobile-apps. GameOn's public listing has unlocked the capital to VCs. So Game On has there he is. Dude, you don't age. What's going on?
What's up, Dave? It's been a while.
Too long, way too long. Well, you've pursued your potential since the last time I've seen you. You've done so well as an entrepreneur. And in the most critical of all skill sets, you've been able to fund your company. And that's not an easy chore. It seems to be easier than it appears. It takes a magician or an entrepreneur in order to unlock that capital. I'm going to start there. How have you been able, and what have you learned in that journey of being able to fund your company?
I was talking to some like student entrepreneurs this week, and I was like, fundraising is the hardest thing I've ever done. Like it's really, really so tough. And it really, the number one thing that it really takes is pain tolerance and understanding that a no is okay. And you come from a sales background, but entrepreneurs often don't. And the best training that I ever had to raise capital or to be an entrepreneur was getting a sales job first, and selling and hearing no's and understanding that most of selling or raising capital is 99 no's and 1 yes. So it was really just pushing through those hard times. And, we've actually unlocked capital in an untraditional or non-traditional way than most US startups. We're actually publicly listing in Canada. And part of that is a pre-IPO 5.8 million fundraise that we were able to do before it. So it's a bit of a different path than most US startups take, but that's how we've unlocked capital recently.
And now that you've been infused with capital, the hard part beyond raising capital is executing on your idea, walking the walk, and being able to create shareholder value, right? In the end, one of the greatest lessons I learned as a young CEO is, you can prospect all you want, but in the end, your job is to increase shareholder value, especially if you're publicly listed, which you are. And so what are you doing now with Game On to increase shareholder value?
So number one is team. So like, a year ago, there were 3 of us. And now with capital, we've been able to get that. We're at, I think, 12 now, and really bringing in, and that's the full-time team, but bringing in leaders who are, way smarter than me at what they do. So while, I'm realizing that my job now more than ever isn't to be the smartest person in the room, but is to be the most inspiring and motivational person in the room, to bring amazing people in to do what they're great at. What I'm good at is...
Matt, you know what they say, if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, exactly. And
so
know what you don't know.
I'm in the right room here. Thank you. You're in the wrong room. You're the smartest guy.
No. It's really just about knowing what you don't know. Like I'm still spearheading our sales effort. I'm bringing in new partners, but on our product side, for example, I brought in Santi Jaramillo, who's our Chief Product Officer. He just came fresh from Dapper Labs, where he built NBA Top Shot. He literally conceived, pitched to the NBA and built NBA Top Shot. And now he's building and executing our roadmap for all of the partners we're working with, teams, leagues, and so he's just one example. Another is, we're good. Is our chairman, Jay Moses. He was the creator of Grand Theft Auto, and still is on the board of Take-Two Interactive, one of the biggest and most successful public companies globally. And he's our chairman and working with me day to day. So they're the kinds of people we've been able to bring on board as part of this raise and the go public in Canada, who are really helping me drive the business.
one of the reasons I knew you would be successful beyond your desire that you must be what you can be is that you have global brand relationships, right? You built over the years, and it's not just having and utilizing those brand relationships, but it's your ability to find new ones and prove why you've had those. We just got dropped off by Matt, but hopefully he'll join us back again.
Can
There
you
he
hear
is.
me? Yeah,
Yeah, I
here I
can
am.
hear you. I can
Yeah.
see it. So what I was saying is one of the reasons I knew, I bet on the jockey that you would be successful
Yep.
is that you were able to establish, global brand relationships, and those skills like selling and other things that you do well, inspiring people, and humility of not knowing what you don't know, enables you a capability that I knew would be beneficial if you had the fuel in the tank. And when you got the fuel in the tank, what are you doing now on the global brand side, on the relationship channel partnership side, which you've done so well in the past? What are you doing today to help accelerate beyond the interpersonal team that you built with extreme situational knowledge and experience in relationships? What are you doing relationship wise to build a business?
Yeah, so yeah, there are a couple of pillars to getting our partnerships or really growing our partnerships and getting it to where we want to be. The first is leveraging all of those advisors, board members, team members. Like I just before this got off a call with FIFA, which was like incredible to be having that conversation because one of our advisors is Tim Cahill, who actually represented Australia at 4 World Cups. And how I met him was in a bar in Brooklyn, in New York, about 6 or 7 years ago. We hit it off. 5 years later, I was like, "Hey, want to join my advisory board?" And we're having great business conversations now. I think that's one example of kind of always being on and not from a biz dev standpoint, but from a relationship standpoint, like truly caring about people you're connecting with and connecting with them as a human first. And then down the track, that opens up doors now to a conversation with FIFA that we're having. So I think just having that mindset of, connecting with people and connecting with humans first often leads to fruitful business relationships. So that's one part of it, leveraging network relationships and being authentic and all that kind of stuff. The other is, sales is a numbers game as well. So, in cold outreach, really has to be a part of your biz dev process. And, cold emails often get a bad rap, but they're kind of my secret weapon. Doing it in the right way and crafting it in the right way, in an authentic way, often is a really good sales driver as well. So like I'm still the number one, like I'm the only sales guy at Game On right now. And I'm reaching out to 40, 50, 60 people every week, getting some conversations going, filling the top of the funnel, and then, generating leads and prospects and partners that way as well.
It's so funny that you say that because one of the key, I do a lot of sales training consulting around the world with some really big teams, and they're amazed at the math when I said, you realize if you just, number one, practice getting people to get back to you, that you'll have an 80% increase in what you're doing just by practice, because 80% of the people never get back to you. You can have an 80% increase immediately over what you're doing. And then two, if you just ask people in person, one person a day in person to help you, one person via email, do you know anyone that can help me? One person via phone or text, and one person via media, traditional or social. That equals 28 people a week who on average know 1,000 people. So you have extended your network, 28,000 people, and it will take you less than 10 minutes to ask in person, on the phone, via email, and media can overlap what you do during the day. I still, and run a very large company, I still check my sent box. Talking about email, I check my sent box every night to see how many asks are in my emails that I send out. And there's over 1,000 a day. And people ask, how do you build a brand, even for yourself, simply by asking. All right, last question, my friend. Part of the journey of being an entrepreneur, I always say, is if you look back and somebody would have told you that you had to do everything that you do just to get to where you are today, number one, most people wouldn't do it, right? It's much nicer not knowing what it actually takes to get to 5 million in funding, to get to where you are over the last 7 years, even previous to that, the jobs that you had to take, with the Sting and cricket and all the places you've been. What lesson would you tell someone who hasn't had the journey yet, that is starting out? What lesson would you tell them as far as that consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential that you've experienced?
The first, there'd probably be two. The first one would be just get started. It's crazy how things manifest once you just write something down or pay $100 for a logo. Those little things at the start that really get the blood boiling and kind of get you excited. So that's the first thing I'd say is, like, if you have something and you want to scratch that itch, just get started, because what Game On was 3 years ago, it's totally different now. We're in a totally different place, and you got to just get started to get to that point. And it's a winding, and you have to be flexible, but just get started. The other one would go back to what I said before, in that, be okay with no, be okay with rejection, embrace rejection, because whoever you're trying to get on board, be it an investor, a new partner, someone on your team, most of it is going to be no. And in fact, a fast no is the next best thing to a yes. So embrace the no, and be okay with the rejection. And then just flicking that switch in your mind will make you a happier and more successful person.
Yeah, I always say an accelerated no is way more valuable than an accelerated yes, because an accelerated yes was already going to say yes. An accelerated no was never going to say yes. And that's all wasted time. So, make sure that you realize every no you get just puts you closer to what you want. And you have
100%.
done sort of job of doing that. At Game On Matt, where else, Matt Bailey, can people reach you in Game On?
If anyone, any founders, entrepreneurs just want to chat, you can reach me via email. I'm on matt@gameon.app. Happy to chat to other founders and anyone else in our world.
You got it, my friend. Thank you so much. Congratulations. I look forward to being of assistance. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much.
Awesome, Dave. See ya.
Yeah. Take care, brother. Congrats. My boy's doing it. It's so much fun to see. It's just so much fun to see, elevating others to elevate yourself. We have another great entrepreneur here, the real Ryan Blair, coming on live with me. He is the founder of Altar Call, best-selling author. He is an amazing person committed to saving and serving others. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
I'm good, David. Good to meet you.
It's really nice to meet you. Thank you so much for all your service, and now for your book, Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, which is a great position to be in. And I always say that were the two easiest times of my life, when I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. Growing up with nothing and then losing everything were two extraordinary things. And to be able to live in abundance actually has this synergistic and similar feeling and energy now that I live here 16 years later in an abundant world with more than enough of everything for everyone. It's quite easy, even easier than when you actually don't have anything, to live with that perspective. What motivated you or inspired you to write the book and share your perspective of Nothing to Lose?
Well, it's interesting. I'll just share with you that after I had made a significant sum of money, I actually lost it. So you and I share some similar experiences. And when you go back down to zero, you realize a lot about yourself. And so to answer your question, though, Nothing to Lose was inspired by a person that I met when I was a juvenile delinquent. And the way his eyes looked at me, he had nothing to lose. This was a killer. I was in and out of gangs. I was in and out of trouble, in and out of juvenile hall. And I just realized that that's the most fearsome person in the world. And then when I got into business, I realized the most fearsome entrepreneur in the world is the person with nothing to lose. It was Google having nothing to lose that attempted to dethrone Microsoft and made them shift. And so it's young entrepreneurs with nothing to lose that are actually disrupting legacy industries that are built by people that have something to lose, and they literally have everything to lose. And when you're in that position, it's much harder to play defense, right? When you have nothing to lose, all you're doing is playing offense. But when you have something to lose, you're playing a lot of defense.
It's so interesting because, one of my favorite movies, The Greatest Showman, right, about P.T. Barnum.
Yeah.
And my favorite line, I think it was used in the trailer as well, is that, Zac Efron says, hey, but P.T., you could lose everything, as he's expanding and growing to the biggest brand in the world in the entertainment space. And he just looked at me and said, "How do you think I got here?" And that, to me, the lesson is so huge, because as I rebuilt in a different mindset, in a different heart set, and a different consciousness, there is that ability, when you live in pure abundance, to have a nothing to lose attitude, because you know all is here to come through you. You can't take anything with you're gone. I look at that jacket that my dad gave me with no pockets to remind myself, all I need is 2 holes in the coffin to fly myself away, and there's no pockets, nothing's coming with me. And so for you in the book, what are the messages that you are trying to convey, not only just to entrepreneurs, but to people just living their lives?
Well, my core message is, my core message is you have to learn how to turn negative into positive. And as an entrepreneur, I've built and scaled some relatively large businesses and done a few billion in sales and had an international business. And every single day you're just waking up and you're dealing with problems as an entrepreneur. We are just simply problem solvers. And I really believe entrepreneurs are called to the highest level of service, because we're actually out there, we're solving problems that the universe, that the world knows exists. So we're called to solve those problems. And so in order to become successful as an entrepreneur, you have to learn to solve a number of problems. First, you have to learn how to solve the interior problems that are preventing you from becoming successful. And then once you start to solve those interior problems, you start to get a team, and then you have to solve some problems on your team. And then every single day, you have to learn to solve those problems and literally transmute negative into positive. And the bigger your team, my team scaled to over 100,000 people. The bigger your team, the more problems you have to solve on it. And that's just the nature of entrepreneurship. So learn to become a problem solver and learn to actually take on the negative and turn it into positive. And once you've learned the lesson from negative, anything negative that's come your way, then it actually is positive. And so that's the mindset that I teach. But then further than that, I would say, is really living a life that's dedicated towards self-mastery. And this is something that I learned later, after I had bought and sold companies and made a lot of money. I was self-medicating. I was living a decadent lifestyle, and I fell off of the top of the mountain that I was on because I wasn't really committed to the pursuit of self-mastery. And so for the past several years, I've made my life's journey to be pursuing self-mastery in really 4 quadrants: mind, body, soul, and role. And so if you break down all 4 of those quadrants and you really invest deeply into them, you'll live a life filled with abundance. You'll have abundance of health. You'll have abundance of happiness and abundance of wealth.
It's so funny. Our lives parallel each other in
Yeah.
so many respects, including the quantum nature of, starting as a gang member. It's interesting. The head of the world's wheelchair basketball association, looks very similar to you. Be the last guy in the world. The 3 of us together would have been even close to recognizing that we grew up around gangs, participated in any sort of, deviant activity as youngsters that risked our lives, and what lessons we learned to carry us through. And yet we all quantumly have, something that we're fighting and learning how to live to our potential. In your 4 qualities, well, one more thing too, right? I always tell people, I'm not into problems, I'm into solutions. So don't talk to me about the problem.
Yeah.
Come to me with, here's what I think, and I'll be happy to help. Because if you have all the solutions, there are no problems. And that's why we seek those. But I'm really interested, as we kind of finish up, the quadrants that you have are very similar to mine. And I'm just curious how similar the role quadrant is, because I have no idea what that means. And I'm searching in my head going, I bet I know what it means.
Yeah.
But I'd love for you to articulate what the role quadrant means, because I think the mind, body, and soul is obvious to everyone in their general balance. Very few people have role as their 4th quadrant.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, I'm a father, as I know you are. I have a 12-year-old boy, so I have the role to be the best father that I can be. And part of really pursuing to become the best father that I can be teaches me how to become a better leader, because the best leaders are the best fathers and best mothers on the planet. And you'll notice behind me, you might not be able to see it, but I have Coach John Wooden on my wall, who was a mentor of mine. And you have him. I assumed you would have him too. Yeah, if you look right there, there's the Pyramid of Success right there. There's
mine signed by Bill Walton even.
Yeah, mine signed by Coach. I don't know Bill, but I knew Coach very well, and I love Coach. And so when you think about the role that he played, and you think about the great ones that we admire and iconicize. They were role players. And back to your earlier point, Coach Wooden he didn't boast about his wealth. He lived in a tiny little apartment until the very end of his days. And when I went to visit him, he handed me and let me hold his Presidential Medal of Freedom. And to his very last days, he had people calling him every single day, asking for his time and his counsel. And he was 99 years old when he passed away. And up to the very last minute, there were people lined up at his door to get time with him. And so the role that he played in our society was one that inspired me forever to ask myself deeply, what role am I playing? Now, we have multiple roles and multiple hats that we wear. We're entrepreneurs. And so how are we really committed to that role? We're fathers. How are we committed to that role? We're friends. We're philanthropists in many cases. We're cause-oriented individuals, and those of us who have taken on other projects beyond that of just ourselves. And so when I think about roles, I just think about the multiple roles that I'm playing, and I ask myself, how am I investing in those roles, and how am I constantly growing my aptitude and my capacity in those roles?
So good. And thank you so much. Just to finish up, last time that I got to, when he was in his late 90s as well, see John Wooden, I asked him about leadership, and his answer to me was his definition of leader was an intelligent follower. And typical John Wooden.
Yeah.
And just one more John Wooden thing. I know we're running over, but I got to say this. The biggest compliment, and I told Coach Wooden this, at that little diner that he always was at in the Valley, I said, hey, Coach, I am blessed to be working with Andrew Luck, and we're going to a senior day at Stanford. Warren Moon, myself, Whitfield, we're going to be on. And so I meet him in the cafeteria. Andrew, to show you the power of John Wooden, that they had this, UCLA's most famous and most valuable takeaway in the cafeteria. Could you imagine the value of your ideas, that your biggest competitor, a college competitor, would elevate you and your ideas in the cafeteria of their athletic department for everyone to see? That's power. That's the power of these pyramids and the power of what you do as well. Thank you so much. Everyone, where can they find the book? And I know it's a New York Times best-selling book, not hard to find, but where would you like them to find you or the book? I know it's at Real Ryan Blair, but where else can they find you in the book?
Yeah, my book's everywhere where books are sold. It's on Amazon, and we're right about to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of that book. And I have another one called Rock Bottom to Rockstar. It's a few years old as well, that talks about my journey. So you can catch me where books are sold. There's also a free documentary on YouTube, Nothing to Lose, the documentary. And follow me on Instagram. And if you DM me, we can start a conversation.
You're amazing. I look forward to doing more with you. Thank you so much. I think we're brothers from another mother, or at least 100%. Past life brothers for sure. Yeah. Thanks so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, David. God bless, and have a great day. Appreciate it.
God bless you. Thank you, brother, for leading the way. Another intelligent follower. Talk about planting seeds under trees you'll never sit under. The great John Wooden is brought up so much, and I keep him here in my mini closet studio, whatever you call it, the convertible room for COVID, the convertible COVID Meltzer habitat. David@dmeltzer.com. If you want my 5 daily practices based off of the 7 lessons of that pyramid, just reach out. David@dmeltzer.com. My book, ebook, audiobook, I'll sign it, send it to you, pay for shipping constantly, consciously. All right. Last but not least, we got all kinds of people here at Hootie. John is here. Thank you so much. You've been here. We'll grab John Wirtz at Hootie. Huddle, sorry. I'm a Hootie. John, where are you at? Come. There he is. Thank you for your patience. I got a frozen friend. Huddle Focus Outdoor Launch. What's going on? Can you hear me? This is what happens when you have all the patience of Job. If you guys know Huddle, it's an incredible company, and it's getting even better. And our Chief Product Officer of Huddle Focus Outdoor Launch is coming to us. Can you hear me? Anyway, we're locking up my friend John. He's the Chief Product Officer, co-founder of Huddle, at Huddle, John Wirtz. And they have an incredible outdoor camera with auto tracking, being able to focus on their outdoor launch as we have been through COVID. And he built this out of his dorm room in Nebraska. Now it's, hey, there he is.
You got me? All right.
Can you hear me, John?
Yeah, I've got you. Am I coming through
All
okay?
right. Awesome. I was just, I love dorm room startups, and especially dorm room startups that started, in sports, and now, you're the legacy of Huddle's the legacy, and now you have the Huddle Focus Outdoor launch coming up, and would love to hear kind of the evolution of Huddle, Huddle.com, HUDL. Give us a little bit of insight how you go from a dorm room project that now has, I think, over 180,000 teams that are utilizing it. Shoot. Good thing Huddle works better than this technology, or we'd be in big trouble. Uh, anyway, I do not know what to do. Maybe log back in. We're working on it. And anyone, we have so much that's going on in the space. All right, everyone. Thank you.
I can hear you.
John, can you hear me?
I hope so. You're coming through okay for me. I don't know what's going on with my.
Log back in real quick. We got time.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
got you.
log back in real quick. Let's try it one more time. Log out and log in. We'll be good, and we'll be good there.
Log out, log out.
So Huddle's one of my favorite companies because they have built from a dorm room, 6 million users, the capabilities that are so useful and allowing people to show, study, learn, expand, amplify the sports content from the lowest levels to the highest levels. And like I said, being used for performance, for analytics, for promotion, all the different areas that an auto tracking sports camera that can live stream, record, upload football, soccer, all on its own. You just place that sucker on top of the booth, and man, you get some incredible coverage that allows people to do all sorts of things, capturing, modifying, amplifying, and perpetuating sports. So let's see here. We got so many people wanting to join, waiting here for my friends at Huddle. And John's one of 3 co-founders. They've been around for a while, but you too can build a company right out of your dorm room. Let me take a question real quick, as we got an incredible day coming up. What's the best way to get started when finding a mentor? Well, you find a mentor, first of all, because he sits in the situation that you want to be in. So make sure you know your what, your who, your how. If you know your what, your who, your how, it's time to go find that person in order to effectuate the now. And in order to do that, and I'm happy to send you this what, who, how, now, and why document, the 5 daily practices, because it is why, how, and now you pick your mentor to align with what you want and who's the best person to get it. Remember, there's a difference between a mentor, a coach, and a teacher. We're going to try John Wirtz one more time as we are working on more Good News Wednesday. Remember, it's not a huddle day. It's not a hump day. It is a more Good News Wednesday. And we got one of my good friends, John Wirtz, at Huddle. And there we go. Better background, better location, better connection.
Trying.
Anyway,
I don't know what's going on here. Sorry about that.
I was going to say, good thing that Huddle doesn't work like Instagram. We'd be in trouble because that
Right,
auto
yeah,
tracking,
blame it on Instagram.
you have mastered the art over the years from your dorm room on with your 2 partners, capturing content, modifying it, amplifying it, and perpetuating for analytics, performance, for promotion now, as a database, a reference tool. There's so many different things that you do that have been a foundation or a platform. I think over 6 million users, 180,000 teams utilizing it. You have reached chasm, but it started in your dorm room, and love to give the lessons of what persistence means. How long ago did you start Huddle?
Yeah, it was 15 years ago. So with David and
Typical
Brian.
overnight success.
I know, it's always what it feels like when people see the story, and it's a 15-year journey. But we've been incredibly blessed on this journey, no doubt. But yeah, 15 years overnight success. Straight out of college, we got connected with the Nebraska football team. So we all went to University of Nebraska, and we're in a program called the Rakes program here. So it's kind of computer science business blended together. Awesome program. And Jeff Rakes, one of the benefactors of the program, said, hey, we've got these computer science students here. We've got this football team over here. Could we mash them together? Could we do something to make the Huskers more competitive? He's a huge Nebraska football fan. And so we sat down with the coaching staff and just we're talking about the problems. And a lot of people were pitching, virtual reality playbooks and stuff that sounded really cool. But I think the thing that really helped us early on was we kind of cut through the noise and the buzz that can happen around sports and sports technology and looked at what their real problems were. And they were putting Post-it notes on lockers all day long, trying to communicate with the athletes. They're handing out giant scouting reports that, athletes could barely digest and flip through. At the time, they were passing out hundreds of DVDs a week, which is kind of crazy to think about, to the whole team of practice video, opponent scout video, and then kind of collecting all the DVDs back up and burning another 100 the next week. So we looked at that and just said, this seems, backwards. And that was 2006. YouTube was just the thing. So we said, what if we could move this all online? What if we could give athletes access to all this video, the scouting report, the playbook in one place, keep the coaches connected with the athletes all the time, and allow coaches to add their voice and illustration and a lot more context on top of the video to help teach the athletes in a lot more modes. A lot of athletes aren't going to be book learners. Some are, but a lot aren't. They're visual learners, they're auditory learners. So that was our pitch to Nebraska. It didn't have 3D, it didn't have virtual reality, but Coach Callahan, who was here at the time, had been out in Oakland with the Raiders and had been pitched every kind of whiz bang thing you could imagine coming out of Silicon Valley. And he said, guys, this is the first thing I've heard that really solves the problems we have. And that hit us hard. And I think we're onto something here, and felt like we didn't have a whole lot to lose. We were living ramen lifestyle in college in our duplex. And so we went for it. We built a little smoke and mirrors prototype. None of it really worked, but it allowed us to kind of show the concept to the coaching staff. And they said, can we have it for spring ball? And that was in like a month. We're like, well, there's maybe more smoke and mirrors here than you're realizing. We're going to need a little more than a month to build it. But if you get behind us and become our first paying customer, we'll have this ready by the time season comes in the summer. And Nebraska got on board. And that'd be one of my first kind of lessons, piece of advice I give is don't be afraid to ask for the money. Don't be afraid to kind of ask that first, even the early customers, to put some skin in the game. It might be money, it might be time, but don't be afraid to ask for that. I see a lot of early entrepreneurs that are just trying to kind of throw their product out into the ether. But that early customer wants to have some skin in the game too. They need to be in it there, with you. And Nebraska did that with us. They were a paying beta customer, which is kind of unheard of in the sports space. Most companies, just to get a Nebraska logo or go down the list, Golden State logo, they'll just throw their product at these teams. And so that got us off and going. And then I'll fast forward pretty fast here, but the next couple of years, we really thought Division I college football and the NFL was where it was going to be the system to connect coaches and athletes around video. And we were getting front page stories in the New York Times sports section, the Facebook of football. It was really cool. Lots of positive feedback, but behind the scenes, we were burning through all the first money we raised. We were signing some great customers, but not enough. It wasn't working. The business wasn't working. And so about 2 years in, we had the most important realization of the history of our company, which was all these high school and small college coaches were calling us. And I saw you played, I believe, Occidental, is that right? D3, yeah. Awesome. They're the longtime customer of ours. We love Occidental. All colleges like Occidental, high schools were calling us and saying, hey, can we do what you're doing for the Jets and the Huskers and Stanford? And we're like, no, this isn't for you. It's too expensive. You have to put a server on site. And finally, we realized maybe we should stop saying no, 50 times a week and open our mind up. And so in 2008, we pivoted. We brought the whole solution into the browser, which was kind of mind-blowing at the time to do coaching video in the browser. We brought the price point down from 50 grand-ish a year down to $800 a year. And that's when things took off. And we went from 12 pilot partners in high school to the next year 350, to the next year 2,000, to the next year 6,000, and became kind of the standard in high school American football. We use American football here at Huddle now that we're a global company. So global football, soccer, American football. So pardon me if I say American football and it sounds like American. So that's when things really took off, and we started serving high schools, and it felt great. And we were helping these teachers who are also coaches that have a ton on their plates be better coaches and get more time home with their families. We started helping athletes get recruited with video. And now that's become a big purpose for us as a company, is really giving every athlete the shot they deserve. Whether you're in a rural school or you're in inner city or you're in a country that has very limited resources when it comes to access to recruiters. And we want you to be able to create the highlights, share the video, market yourself, and really succeed based on your talent, your work ethic, and nothing else.
No doubt. And then finally, you know, to finish up, we're promoting the Huddle Focus outdoor launch. You've moved into streaming, live streaming. The technology is advanced, not only the servers and connectivity, the bandwidth, and of course, the cameras themselves and the AI that has advanced in the software side. Now, because you've built a community, you now are first to serve, and you've stayed on top of the technology and continue to advance with the technology, not just, you know, sitting on the laurels of the huge community that you built. You have over 1 billion highlight views alone. And so now promoting this Huddle Focus outdoor launch, what exactly has that evolved to?
Yeah, so the Huddle Focus product, that's our automatic capture system. You can think about it like a magic box you put on your gym wall, and now you'll be able to put with outdoor on your press box wall. And it automatically gets a panoramic view of the whole field. It follows the action automatically for you. It hooks into your Huddle game schedule, so it knows when to turn on, when to start recording, when to turn off. And it uploads all that video live to Huddle, so it's ready to go the minute you need it in Huddle. And then even better yet, it automatically streams to kind of the destination that that team needs. YouTube is really popular. Whatever, you know, the streaming destination is that team's fans come to watch the content. So the team gets to, you know, no longer have to bring all this equipment out to film. They don't have to worry about the camera person getting distracted or having to have a camera person at all. And they get this great quality video automatically flowing to their fans and to Huddle. And so we're launching the outdoor version of that. This fall, we're going to be getting it in the hands of many thousands of football teams across the country. It'll work great for soccer and for lacrosse too on those fields. And then maybe one more thing I'll add on that is practice is kind of a sneaky important part of all this. So it's easy to get caught up in the games and streaming the games, but teams really struggle to get the value they want out of practice. And it's really hard to have someone filming your practice. Football teams can pull it off in most cases, but it takes a lot of people. This camera is awesome for practice. You can set up the angles you want, just touch of a button in the app, and now your practice is getting covered. And then after that practice, you can get so much more value in terms of feedback to those athletes with video of every practice.
Yeah, I think the old school, and, you know, playing college football myself, missed shots, you know, and then lost data are two things that are very rare with Huddle because of the way the system works and the checks and balances that are created within the software and the checks and balances that are created within the spectrum from start filming to the capture and the storage. So as you know, I've been a big fan of your guys for a long time. I've worked with many colleges, high schools, and professional teams that have utilized it throughout the years. And it's great to see, you know, the illuminating factors that are within the context of the 15 years to show the entrepreneurs that if you enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your own potential, you can go from your dorm room to billions of views to monetizing a great company. You just can't quit, number one. And number two, the greatest lesson that I hear you, which I tell everyone all the time. I did this morning on my other show, ask, right? I love that you reiterated, you won't be where you are without asking. What a great company. What a great success story. People can find you at Huddle, HUDL. Where else can they reach out to you guys?
So it's social media. So we're on Instagram, on Facebook, Huddle. We have the Huddle handles there.
Huddle.com.
Huddle.com. Emailing us directly. I love to, if anybody has feedback directly for me, it's just john@huddle.com, JOHN@huddle.com. So I'd love to hear from people that are questions or inspired or want to talk.
You got it, my friend. John, great to see you. Thank you for putting up with the lesser technology. We're so used to yours when it worked.
Sorry
but we're good.
But this is great. It's an honor to be on the show. Appreciate it.
It's an honor to see you. We look forward to doing more with you. I appreciate you, John. Take care.
All right. Thanks, David.
You got it, brother. Cool. Some great entrepreneurs today. We got lots of great lessons. Huddle, unbelievable. We got Ryan Blair and, of course, Matt Bailey. 3 all in the sports field. We got some great theme effort there. Kudos to my team, and thank you to my team. That was a great IG Live. Great guests, all aligned. Great messages and lessons. Teddy, good to see you there. Jakey, Bakey, Mary, nice to see you. I'm going to take one question. Remember, if you want my 5 daily practices or my book, audiobook, ebook, or me to sign the book and send it to you and pay for shipping in the book, not a problem. David@dmeltzer.com. David@dmeltzer.com. We got some great guests today. Hey, Jeremiah, great to see you, brother. Awesome. All right, let's take a quick question. and we'll call it a day. I'm an ex-employee as a sports analyst. Now again, I have given an interview, just waiting to confirm. Okay, email me, david@dmeltzer.com. Let me take a different question. All right, check me out at huddle.com. That's all good. You got that there. Get another question. Here we go. Last question. More Good News Wednesday. Wednesday is not huddle. It's not hump day. It's not huddle day. It's More Good News Wednesday. How do you use your adaptable routine effectively when traveling? Adaptable routines always have a set routine, which will make God laugh at you. Then come up with an adaptable routine based off of your non-negotiables. So when I'm traveling, I especially lean on my adaptable routine to make sure I get a minimum of an hour a day on my health, a minimum of time with my family, all members, especially if I'm traveling away from them, and then a minimum amount of time studying my calendar, paying attention to, giving intention to the coincidences I want, utilizing my values of gratitude, empathy, accountability, and effective communication to be inspired, and to activate the 5 daily practices of knowing my what every day, knowing who I can help and be of service to and who can help me, knowing my how by utilizing the mathematical equation of lust, paying attention and giving attention to the coincidence, knowing my now by prioritizing according to my adaptable routine, what I should do first, what's most important, and then finally my why, trying to stay the best as I can out of the ego-based consciousness, atoning or reconciling or paying the reparations of a keen balance between the truth and humankind. May we all utilize that blend and balance between truth and humankind. Humankind is not perfect, and the truth is. Hopefully you'll take that with you. I want to thank all of my guests and especially my team for an extraordinary time. Joseph, I see you there as well. Please join me on More Good News Wednesday, every Wednesday. And most importantly, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. I'll see you tomorrow.